recording as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's Camilla. Hello. Hi. Oh, connecting to audio. If this is a name, though, it would be the most interesting name in the world. It has.
I know. I don't know how you say it.
It's D-E, Dep, Ba, V-E. And then there's a couple of I's there.
I know.
It has numbers too. So there's the 9. Hi, Camilla.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello. Welcome.
Good, how are you?
Good, good. It's good to see you again. I love everything you're doing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
So great.
Thank you. Have you seen the website?
No, I'm going to have to do it later this morning. I will. But thank you so much. You're bringing a really fresh, exciting energy to everything. And I'm glad you're on the team.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I checked out the website. It looks awesome. I love the new format for it. So it's really great.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, Yazan?
Good. I'm ready for my fireside chat. I lit a candle.
Wow. I feel like I have a candle, but I don't know if I should lit it too.
We were looking at the name that shows up when you, enter the room, and it's so long. It's like DEPBAV and all these numbers. It doesn't really have your name.
I was seeing that too. If we have a couple minutes, let me see if I can rejoin and not have it be like that.
Oh, well.
Emma says she knows how to fix it. Great.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Because
Great.
Ollie and I were looking at it, we're like, that's an interesting name for, so who's that? Oh, there we go.
There we go. Thanks, Emma.
Well, we're waiting for a few more people, and there's people here that come from all around the world that are joining us, different time zones, and there's usually about 8 of us. And then suddenly someone can say, oh, there's flooding of the Nile. I can't, they'll send a quick message and they can't be on. I mean, you know that with your work, how,
Yep.
The electricity and internet.
There's always something.
Mm-hmm. Always something.
Cool. Okay, well, let me run to the bathroom real quick and I'll be back.
Yeah.
Take your time. Got a couple minutes.
Okay.
Camila, how was your vacation?
Oh, so nice.
Yeah,
it was really.
Is that where you spent it, or was
no, I was in Italy.
Italy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, nice.
So nice. I got a nice tan, relaxed, read like 2 full books in a week, which was just so
my
nice.
gosh. What book did you read?
Yeah, now I'm back. I read the new novel by Elena Ferrante.
I don't know that.
She's this like well-known Italian writer. And then I read The Sheltering Sky, which I'd never read before.
Wow. Yeah.
So pretty nice. But now I came back to London and it's 30 degrees, so it's like I hadn't gone on holiday.
It's so wonderful to have an extended, uninterrupted period to read a book. I've done that before, where I just sit when I went on a holiday, and it's just because I'm not much of a sun worshiper. I don't like lay in the sun and try to get too tan or whatever, but I do like to be out in the sun. So it's nice to in that warmth when I've had time to read a book outside in a comfortable chair.
Yeah, it was dreamy.
Sounds amazing.
How was the first day of the course?
I'm sorry, were you asking about the course? I think it's my internet.
Oh yeah, just how was the first day?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was good.
I thought it was great.
I think there's a Wi-Fi.
There were.
Yeah, I don't know whose it is.
Yeah, the course went pretty well. There were, there's learning curve things about like how to break up into groups and, the things that happened. But Abby had it organized so well. It was really great. And we didn't get through all the content, but that's kind of expected as well. You want to over plan, right? To make sure plenty to do. Yeah. But it was good. That's good.
And this week we're having a session with EJ Jacobs, and it's going to be quite fun. It's going to be a pitch boot camp, and so we're expecting a lot of kind of interactive conversations, but we'll see. My internet is breaking off, so I'm going to try to reconnect real quick.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Do we know who's joining today?
I don't know who else is. I think that I think Abby heard from about 6 people. But, it's always kind of a wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely with the different time zones.
I'd love to hear. Yeah. If we're kind of waiting here, all of you probably know how you're related and connected. I'd love to hear a little bit about like who is everyone who I'm going to be speaking with.
Well, we'll let them introduce themselves a little bit too, but these are, for the most part, these are, emerging change makers who have developed initiatives in their local communities, and we connected with them originally through Watson.
Right.
So they are connected to the Watson program, either the boot camp or the, accelerator program or the 2-year degree program. And they have taken a course from us while they were at Watson that was a couple week long about fundraising. And then they were able to participate in a process to get a micro grant from that at the end of the week. So the deliverable was that they write a grant and then it's presented to a committee and they could receive a micro grant. And most of them who are participating now have received micro grants, and they are sort of in their 2nd or 3rd year of developing their initiative. So we thought, creating a network for them in which they could speak with and learn from one another, right, at a convening like this, but also from experts who are in the nonprofit world, or Roman was a speaker, and Roman talked about changing story narratives, and Barrett was a speaker, and she talked about filmmaking, video. So not to always just have as the topic nonprofit work,
right.
but
yeah,
variety of people who we just admire and think are really cool and would be inspiring to these, I don't want to call them scholars, to these amazing change makers.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's great, like, not to focus or fixate on like nonprofit work. Like when I hear young people kind of say, I don't know what I want to do, but I want it to be in nonprofits.
Right.
It feels, it makes me wonder, what about the idea of a nonprofit? Like I think that for-profits can do good, they can do bad. Nonprofits, it can also do the same, right? Like there are some that do more harm than good. So so it's just, yeah, I unsurprisingly, Gail, anything that you put on, I like. I just feel totally in line and resonating with, and yeah. It's so nice to be here speaking with you all too.
Yeah, maybe grateful for your participation and for whoever is here. And I really understand that there are times when we can have a larger group and sometimes it's smaller, and we're learning as we go along, what it is that we can do to support people to feel that they have the internet capability to be a part of it. So we are committed to having these monthly convenings, and this is our 3rd one. And so as we go along, we're learning, and I'm just so grateful to have you as a friend and as a smiling, smart guy to be a part of this practice. And so if it's something that's exciting for all of us, and 8 months down the road, we are going to do it again, and everyone says, well, we missed the one with Yazan, bring them back, then we'll reach out to you again.
Oh, I would be happy to. I would be happy to, of course.
Well, let me just take a minute then. Is it okay with you, Abby, if we start, and maybe then people can join when they come? So I am just so excited to introduce Yazan because he's so wonderful and he's a friend, and I have known him for several years, and we have been through some expansive and contraction type times together. I see him as compassionate and smart and skilled, and always acting with intention. He's got quite a wonderful awareness of the importance of working alongside a community, not extracting from the community, but working with them and getting to know them and learning from them. And let me just read you something about him because it's going to explain a little bit more. So Yazan Fattahaleh, am I saying it right? I'm so sorry. I always just call you by your
Fattahaleh.
Fattahaleh, okay, I'm sorry, has been lucky to build a career supporting youth as they pursue higher education around the world. He currently serves as the executive director of Kapadia Education Foundation, a role in which he is constantly navigating financial relationships across enormous wealth and power differences, something he considers a fascinating endeavor. I love the way that that's been put together, navigating relationships across the divides, right? That's something that's probably even exacerbating today. His personal immigrant story and experiences working with refugees in the USA and abroad inform his work, supporting college students internationally. In the past few years, he's been lucky to live in Uganda. He lived in Uganda many years. That's where I have my first connection with him, but also in Mexico, in the back of his truck, and in London, from which I think he had to quickly escape or flee when the COVID came. I think it was within a matter of 24 hours that you had to quick figure out, how do I get out of here, because I love it here, but I want to go home.
Yep.
And he calls Denver his home, or at least his home base. He has a BA in economics from the University of Colorado Boulder, and certificates in monitoring and evaluation from Makerere University in Kampala, and Joining Vision and Action in Denver, which I don't know that much about. I'd be curious to hear what Joining Vision and Action is. He likes to rock climb. He likes to salsa dance, and he likes to eat hummus. And he wants you to know that though he's really good at all three of those things, he can't do them all three at the same time. So I'm just so happy that he's here. You're gonna love listening to him. He's personable, accessible, funny, smart, humble, and I'm honored to call him a friend. So why don't we take a minute, and then I see Claudine. Oh, you might know Claudine. Claudine is here.
You know Claudine. Of course I know Claudine.
And Charles is here, and Camilla, and of course Abby and some others might join. But after that introduction, I thought we could hear from the people who have come to listen to you and talk with you. And then we'll do our little fun exercise of 2 truths and a lie, which is always kind of a fun little polling exercise to do. And then we'll hear from you.
Great.
Sound good? Okay.
Works for me.
So let's see. Charles, welcome. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you? I'm so
We are
glad to see
good.
all of you.
Tell us, introduce yourself to us. Well,
So my name is Charles Mhanguzi, and I am from Uganda. I am working with a startup I call Aircool Africa, and we have a mission to produce technology for underserved communities all around the world, but starting with Uganda, of course. Yeah, so that's our mission. And I am a former Watson scholar. Yeah.
tell us just a little bit briefly about what you invented.
Oh, okay. I initially started with an air purifier. I had a personal story where very close friends of mine lost their lives to carbon monoxide intoxication inside their house. So which brought me to the idea of trying to start a solution that would remove that problem. And I've been coordinating professors, looking for solutions. And I eventually found a way to do that. And I designed a prototype that automatically starts and eliminates carbon monoxide whenever it detects it. And I also plan it to be one of the few units that collect data of air quality in most parts of underserved communities, because the world talks about climate change, we talk about air quality, but most of the air quality data, even for research in Africa and most underserved communities, is not quantified, and we don't have that data. So I will be targeting for that. But along the way, even while at Watson, I picked up another idea where I could, initially I thought that I was gonna use the fans in my air purifier to make this, but initially with research and learning from other people, I found that I could also do some really interesting thing that could help people to preserve their food with really low energy, because we have a very big problem in Uganda of hunger. So if it is impractical in my country to say that we can use refrigerators or freezers to keep our food, because we have only 24% electrification. So I'm trying to design something that you would literally just use a few battery cells to keep food for a very long time, going away from the concept of refrigeration. And for me, I'm looking to kill microbiomes using UV light, but also using a vacuum space that takes away all the conditions for microbiomes that make our food go bad, to die. So if I'm still working on that project, and if I can achieve that, I can make a product that is centered around the problem in my country that can affordably be used in Uganda to preserve food with really low energy and very cheaply. I'm planning that it would be affordable to many of those people. Many companies that produce technology never produce technology thinking about people like where I come from. So they produce things that are expensive, but also need electricity, which is pretty unrealistic to us. So I wanna be that gap, that one that looks at Uganda, at underserved people around the world eventually, and design something that fits exactly in their lives. And those are the two projects that I'm working on right now.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks for sharing that update with us. And I'd love to hear from Claudine. Hello, Claudine. And then when Claudine is done speaking, we can hear from Camilla. And then I want to be sure just to let Yazan know about the scope of other participants that have been here in the past. And if you're interested in learning more about them, we can connect you to, their websites or their information, because we have quite a interesting group, and sometimes it's just as hard to be, participate in an online session. But I'd love for you to know just a little bit about who else, what the makeup of the group is.
Sure thing.
Okay. Hi, Claudine. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. Greetings from Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So my name is Claudine, and I'm a founder of Guvuya Africa, Power of Africa. This is an organization that is seeking to empower girls and women to help them tackle the economical and political crisis that is going on in Congo. And we are focusing on just the internal well-being. And that's where we teach mostly about things that has to do with the girls' health, including the menstrual health education, and providing accessibility to the materials and reusable sanitary pads that helps them to journey through their developmental process in a more healthy and confident way. But then as we continue to face also the crisis that the COVID has created, we are hoping to move from just teaching about menstrual health into providing economical skills like microfinance to women who had business before, but then their business has scattered because of the economy. So we want to see how to support those that are still surviving so they can rise up and help their families as well. It's being back home, it's a realization that really Corona has affected people's lives. And we are working hard to make people like Yazan proud because he's been a great mentor to me. Actually, being able to even speak like this, it's because with Yazan in 2014, we worked together on my English, and it's such a great honor to be here. Thank you so much.
It's wonderful to see you and to see that you are safe and back home. I know that it took you some time to get back home when you had to extend your stay a little bit in Colorado, but I'm happy to see that you're there and smiling, and the connections between all of us are always so lovely. Thank you.
Thank
Camilla,
you.
tell us about yourself and your connection here.
Yeah,
Please.
hi everyone. So I'm the communications intern for Little Big Fund. And well, yeah, I mostly focus on social media and writing blogs and just, all these things that you guys are talking about and that we're going to talk about this hour to make sure that more people know about it and that more people get to know all of you. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
And maybe just say a little bit about where you're at. You're in,
who I am as a person.
where you are geographically.
Yeah, so I'm in London right now. Yeah, and it's actually really hot and humid here, which is weird for London, but yeah. I'm originally from Mexico, so yeah, as all of you have traveled from different places, but it's great to see you all. And actually I have a question. If I take like a screenshot of this call, would anyone mind if I post it on our social media? Or is that okay? Thumbs up? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Camilla's just bringing so much energy and creativity to our brand and our marketing and our social media. Just has changed our website up. So I encourage you all to go to the website. She's featuring stories on the newsletter and blogs. And I'm just really grateful for all that she's bringing to this because clearly everyone that gets connected to Little Big Fun elevates one another, elevates the importance of understanding communities locally and meeting people who are working in the community versus those who might be outside of it. So I'm just really grateful for Camilla for all that you're bringing. And then just briefly, and Abby, jump in if I miss somebody, but also part of this group is a woman named Omaima, and she's from Morocco. And she has a program in which she is trying to change the culture of understanding around blood donation. And she has run some blood donation collection experiences, I guess. I'm not saying it the right way, but has organized blood donation drives, and she's developing an app so that people can have information readily available on a phone of what their blood type is, in addition to who might be a contact. And it's very interesting to hear how for COVID, her program has actually not suffered very much. These have been much busier in Morocco with blood donation and blood awareness and changing some of the culture around that. And Ashraf is also a part of this network, and he's in South Sudan, and he's developing prosthetic hands for those who have lost limbs, in particular a hand during war and conflict. Who else, Abby, has been in our group, just to give a little summary of the scope?
For sure, Gail. Someone else that comes to mind, we're having a course right now, and a member of the group is Wahed, who's from Bangladesh. And he's actually created this organization called Tiger Bowtie. And it's basically working with artisanal women to create bow tie and other products. So now he's launching other products to provide kind of a direct access and also fair income, especially kind of countering the textile industry that has been quite challenging in Bangladesh. So he's another one. of the group members, we also have Joshua, who's from Nigeria, who started an organization called Restructure Africa, and has also been part of another startup called Apu Backpacks, where he's building kind of solar-powered backpacks as part of Restructure, but he's also doing a bunch of other really interesting programs, working mostly with youth as well. So just a couple more of our participants who are usually part of the group. We have in total about 40 members who are part of the group, and they're all pretty much based in all parts of the world right now.
Right, right. So that was good, and I just wanted Yazan to get a little sense of the scope of the people in this community, in this group, because as you'll learn from Yazan, Kapadia is in many different places as well, not only in East Africa, but in other countries, other communities, and there might be some connections that can be made there. Yeah. So anyways, let's do the little fun exercise. Avi, do you want to take us through that? And then.
For sure. Yeah, so I thought we would kind of kick this off, this conversation. Again, I'm sorry I don't have my candle, otherwise it'd be a perfect fireside chat. Although, you know what, I think I have this, I just don't have fire, but I'm gonna hold this for the conversation. It's a bit of a fireside. Thank you. Before we kick off the conversation, I thought we'd just kind of get the group a bit engaged in guessing a bit more about Yazan. We've heard a bit of an introduction from Gail, but what I'm going to do next is share a really short poll, and I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. I'm going to share 3 facts about Yazan, and 2 of them are truths, and 1 of them is a lie. And your job is to figure out which one is the lie. So if you just look on your screen, you should be able to see a poll, and just feel free to choose one answer you think that might be a lie. I'll read it out real quick. So the first one is that he has a near spiritual relationship with hammocks and tree. Second one is that he's climbed to the top of redwood tree. And third is that he has experienced a hummus overdose. I don't know which one, and I can't vote because I'm doing this, but I feel like the hummus overdose, I heard that he likes hummus, so that's probably not the case. I feel like he probably knows how to handle his hummus. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, let's see if everyone's voted. Okay, so, well, the results are 33%. We're pretty much split here. Yazan, I don't think we got to figure it out as a group, but would you want to enlighten us on which one was the lie? Oh, I think you're muted.
I have never climbed just up to the top of a redwood tree.
Wow.
Yeah, I do love hummus, and I make my own hummus, and I put a lot of garlic in it, and the garlic has like numbed my taste buds for a couple days, and I once ate so much. It was so many. I just had some digestional issues.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for joining us for this conversation. We're really excited to get to learn and know a bit more about you. Before we get started, I'd love to hear a bit more about your current role and what's an exciting project that you're really excited about right now.
Yes. So of course, in the time of coronavirus, we're a international scholarship organization, and we are relatively hands-off. Students can apply for our scholarships. We issue their scholarships straight to the universities that they attend around the world. It is up to $600 US per year, and so this is a really good scholarship program for students whose school fees are less than about $1,000 a year, because it can cover more than half of that. And as schools started to close, and as coronavirus started to lock down our world, our students were telling us, my school's the financial office is not open. There is no way that I can go and receive the scholarship funds and like confirm that they've arrived. And we don't. And that's an incredibly important part of the scholarship program for us, is to actually know that the funds that we issue to the school went to our students. And classes were canceled, as all of you knew. And we kind of had to sit back and think, okay, what are we going to do in the meantime? I like that Kapadia Education Foundation is a sleek and simple program in the sense that we issue scholarships. And in the as all of the schools were closed, we had to remain relevant if we wanted to survive the year. And of course, it's important that we survive this year because we are supporting students who are in multi-year programs at their schools. And so we launched an emergency relief fund as we were hearing from our students what they're doing in the meantime. And one project that I'm excited about right now is actually, excuse me, I am getting a call. One of our students is a midwifery student at the Fort Portal International Nursing School. I know there are some people on this call who will know exactly where that is, in Fort Portal in Uganda. And as her return to school is uncertain at this time, she reached out to us and she said, hey, I have a program. It's research backed. I have a budget. I would like to run an educational and a distribution program of sanitary pads for my peers in the Kasese district in Uganda. And in her budget was disposable single-use pads. We know of another organization, it's called Days for Girls. And they make and sell an educational curriculum as well as reusable and washable sanitary pads. We have some donors who also are volunteers for them. And we've helped to connect this student of ours, a KEF scholar in Western Uganda, with a Days for Girls branch, we can say, over by Bwindi, to see how she can use a better product in this program that she's going to run instead of the disposable sanitary pads while she's not in school. And that's really exciting because I hope that this connection and the relationship with Days for Girls will be powerful for her in the future as well. And so we not only have purchased her these smart starter kits, which is a pair of panties and sanitary pads that are reusable and washable and a bar of soap and all this, but it's a relationship with this organization that's very in line with her own goals in life and her own mission. And Claudine, they're actually in Bwindi. So if it's still easy, excuse me, I have a stutter. If it's still easy for you to cross the border, I'd be happy to connect you with this Days for Girls enterprise in Bwindi as well. And that might be helpful for your program too. So I'll send you an email. Like just as you were sharing, I was like, whoa, this is very relevant, in fact, to one of our KEF scholars and Claudine. It sounds like a lot of what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. So that's one of my favorite things. Partnerships in the nonprofit world can be messy. And I've seen them go belly up numerous times. I think that there's, and not to say that partnerships in the for-profit world also just are the easiest thing in the world, but there is a bit of unifying interest when there is money to be made and a bottom line to be met. And I think that in the nonprofit world, where everybody's interests and missions oftentimes are more nebulous or harder to bring together in the same way as like, I make money, you make money, that's enough. I think that I've had a lot of experience in East Africa as well as in the United States of like bridging together different missions of different nonprofits and finding a way that it can be a collaboration for all. And I think that this is an exciting one. Yeah.
Sorry, Gail, were you gonna go? I was just gonna say it's super
I
inspiring.
agree that you do have a lot of intuition and experience, and you blend them together to bring people together and have it be a win-win and a long-term, kind of connection, not just a one-off, so to speak. And Days for Girls is an organization that's been around for a while too. They are a pretty solid organization. So you must also have a good sense of how to bring people together that are at levels where growth will happen, for them. But yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Abby.
No, I was just gonna add to that. I think it's just such an inspiring kind of pivot to what you're already doing, which usually is, I'm assuming, just with around providing scholarships, but now also kind of providing a form of a scholarship in a way that is allowing for them to continue their passion and that learning process beyond school, which I think is brilliant and really inspiring. I guess to your point, you talked a little bit about the challenges of COVID for the organization. I'd love to hear a bit more about how has COVID impacted the communities and the works or the projects that you're involved in, and in what ways are they being impacted?
Will you just say that last part again? A garbage truck is driving by and I struggled to hear you.
No worries. So I was just asking, how has COVID-19 impacted your projects, your communities that that Kapadia is currently working with or working in?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, back in March and April, schools closed, the world locked down. I was living in London. I had to pack up my life in like 15 hours and actually got on the last flight of Heathrow to Denver direct. And so our supporters, so our students were kind of just telling us, like, I don't know what's happening. I'm going home. I'm gonna go back to the village. School is closed, but I'm still studying, or so they say, but I don't everybody was just confused. This isn't news, of course, to any of you. We all were. So one of the programs that we run is a mentorship program where we will pair up a professional in a related field with one of our KEF scholars. And the idea is that this professional is someone else who they can just be in relationship with as they are navigating the challenges of higher education. Most of our students' parents were not educated, and they just having that extra level of guidance is an enriching part of the mentor's life, and it's helpful to the students. And so we heard from one of our mentors, hey, I'd like to share with you this incredible thing that my student is doing. And we were like, okay, that is really great. And the mentor said, I'd like to give them some money as just like an emergency fund. I'd like to make a donation and just help them with this one thing in this extraordinary time. I was like, sure, that makes sense. I can help make that transaction happen. And then I got thinking, the premise of our scholarship program is that students are admitted based off of their level of interest to pay it forward and to use their education to help others in their community at home. And so unsurprisingly, this was not our only scholar or alumni who was using this opportunity to meet emergency needs in their community. And in times of emergency, and when work needs to be really scrambled, and when relief has to be scrambled because there is not time for elaborate grant processes and all of this, there needs to be high levels of trust. And we have high levels of trust from with our students and from our donors. And so we launched a campaign, and we raised money, and we had this emergency relief fund. And we just heard from our students and our alumni what are the initiatives that they're doing in their communities. Unsurprisingly, much of it was food relief, because as we know, coronavirus itself is impacting the United States and the UK and other very globally interconnected places. It is not the virus itself that is the primary effect on countries in East Africa, in Southeast Asia, along the Indian Ocean Rim, and in South America, which is where our students are. It is the effects of lockdown that are causing prices and markets to spike and an increased instance of domestic violence and things like this. So our students were launching programs and making sure that there were hand washing stations at their local markets and making sure that families who were really food insecure, in fact, were receiving food. It didn't take much. And that was, I forgot exactly what the question was that you asked, but that was the first and primary way that we kind of pivoted our programming as schools closed. We, of course, made it a point to be financially responsible, and this is the executive director in me and not just like the excited, program manager, and we responsibly launched a separate fundraising campaign, and those were the funds that went out in this emergency relief fund. And so all the scholarship money that we have planned for and and that we're sitting on still is there. And now we're slowly reissuing these scholarships as schools are slowly starting to reopen. But it's just a lot of work to hear from our students in 19 countries around the world. What is the status of schools reopening in their countries, and what is the status of their schools specifically?
Yeah,
I bet that is a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. I bet that is a lot to organize. Every university is different, and then the way they communicate, is different. I've heard stories of universities requesting that students get online immediately and start taking courses, and there's not even a conversation about whether or not they have the funds to buy data, right? Or if they have the funds, and if they did have the funds to buy data, would they instead use it to give money to their mom for food, right? So it's an interesting place that you're in terms of that balance between Maslow's hierarchy, right? You want to meet the basic need. People want to be comfortable. They want to eat. They want to have something to drink. They want to have a roof over their house. They want to feel good. And then they feel like they can take on other types of self-actualizing things. So you're right, kind of in the throes of that as not only, on the ground doing it, but then just ideologically, like how do you communicate at this time that a scholarship is important, but getting food first and then the scholarship, or the scholarship might also have to include these other things, right? Like you broaden our notion of what a scholarship is. A scholarship is a wraparound thing, maybe more so than just paying for, 2.5 courses or something. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I've learned is that there's no scholarship program that is right for everybody. There's no educational support program that is a good fit for all. The eligibility and when working abroad and within the US, it's like in running these sorts of student support programs, there is only so much that any one program is able to do, and the eligibility criteria is huge, and understanding who are the people in your program is a very important part of making sure that you're able to meet your own outcomes and provide the best service. We're a relatively hands-off organization. We need our students to have been admitted to school, started taking classes, and the only challenge that they're facing is the financial burden. There are other programs that help students enroll in school and get them into the classroom, and they do all the social work and the counseling around that, and they may not have the funds to pay their school fees, they'd make a really good partner organization for us. We issue scholarships in one of two ways. One is through our independent scholarship program. If you look on our website, you can see the application, and students apply, and they live in our applicant pool, and when we have money and we can issue a scholarship to them, we do. These students need to be incredibly independent. They need to already have gotten themselves enrolled in school, just like I've said. We recognize that this is limited in the sense that there are students who don't speak English and therefore aren't able to navigate our website. They may speak English but don't have experience on how to upload attachments and navigate email and all of that. They may be refugees. They may be single mothers and have other life circumstances that stop them from being that student who can just get on the website, apply themselves. And so we also issue scholarships in our second way, which is through our partnership organizations. These are organizations like CIOTA, who of course Claudine knows very well. I don't know if others of you do too as well, but it's organizations that already have relationships with youth who are interested in pursuing a higher education and who already have a demonstrated way that they are paying it forward and helping others in their home communities. And again, they may not speak English. They may be a single mother, like our partnership organization in South America, in Colombia specifically. And then if we can lift the financial burden of going to school, great. We can do that. That can be our piece. It takes everyone working all together. And our niche, I can say, is that we're an efficient operation. It's $800 is what we solicit from a donor to provide a year of scholarship. The scholarship maxes out at $600. And so there's $200 for administrative fees and bank transfers and all of this. And it's like $800 for many people in the US, not everybody, but for many people in the US is next to nothing for the impact that can make. If you want to provide a year of tuition in the United States, oh God, you're looking at no less than $5,000 to $6,000 at a community college, at 2-year programs, at certificate programs. If we're looking at proper bachelor's degrees, 10, 12 plus private schools, it could be 50 or 60,000, right? So as I was saying earlier, every organization has its niche, and I think that the point is to do your niche well. And this is ours, that it's near criminal how expensive school is around the world. Education's a human right. I'm sure we all on this call can agree. And if all it takes is $800 for a US donor or a Canadian donor or European donor, I don't need to be US centric in this, right? Anyone who has $800 is able to provide a year of scholarship for someone. That's huge. It's an easy sell.
Yeah, that's very valuable. And I think it's also such an interesting piece. You talk about kind of the niche and kind of doing your piece in a bigger puzzle. I'm curious, and this is kind of going on a bit of a side, I guess, on that element of building trust. You talk quite a bit about the relationship with your donors and also with the community, because obviously you're in that emergency place where you don't actually have time for a grant or a whole process. So you're working off of trust, and your donors are probably also working off of trust. I guess the question I have there is what are some kind of elements that have allowed you to be successful in building that trust with the community you work with, but also with the donors and the supporters that you work with? How have you gotten to that point where you can just be sure that, these folks are willing to trust your work and your organization?
It takes time. I think that is certainly a part of it. With the partner organizations too, I think an example of this is with a new partner organization, will take months sometimes outlining a memorandum of understanding, making sure that like everything is clear up front, you know? And then as the years progress, it's reached the point with a couple of partner organizations where we haven't needed to sign a new MOU each. There's a level of trust. It's not like an MOU is like legally binding contract in the first place, really. Relatively, it's not like this is it's a few $1,000s here or there. It is not like a real estate deal or like some big, right, like multi-million-dollar business thing. My point is that we just have reached a point where it's like it is clear that we're all on the same page and we're all working in the same goals. With the donors, every time a donor makes a donation, I feel this trust. I feel this like, wow, like they've entrusted me and KEF to use their resources and steward their generosity to do good in the world. And so reporting back and sharing that is huge. And making sure that the communications are in a tone that matches the perspectives of your donors is a huge part of that. Camilla, I am sure this is a large part of your internship right now is understanding how are you trying to represent the Little Big Fund and making sure that the form of the communications, the tone of the communications, the frequency, the everything, right? Like this has been a huge journey for KEF in this year alone, because we've reached a bit of a plateau, honestly. Like our budget grew, and the last couple of years it kind of has stayed flat. And I am really looking to see what can we do to surpass, like what can we do to break through this plateau? I don't know. Eric at Watson actually was the first person who kind of shared with me the idea of these inflection points where an organization like is doing all of this work and the leadership of the organization is working hard all the time, but the growth of the organization, it comes in kind of spurts, even though the workload stays the same. And those are the kind of inflection points. And I at least realized when I took over the leadership of KEF that we have relationships with hundreds of students around the world, and we have their stories, and we have the graduation pictures, and we have the good things they're doing in their community. And we weren't doing a very good job of sharing that and communicating that. So I'm expecting that this improvement of the communications, we built our website this year. I'm a communications intern myself. She's doing a wonderful job. And at least as of now, we are on track to break this kind of ceiling in our annual budget that it feels like we've been stuck at year after year. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
We start talking about website. I just kind of think of a new idea and all. I can't actually remember if I answered your question. I'm sorry, Abby.
No, it's amazing. And this is wonderful. And we just kind of relaunched our website today, and Camilla's working on it. But I think that process is such an important part of, obviously these are kind of, smaller projects that you look at in a bigger scope of, maybe the programming that you're doing. And it's, oftentimes people forget about the communication aspect of the work you're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's one amazing insight. And also the time, the 8-month-long wait for MOU, I can definitely relate with that, because oftentimes that one crucial partnership, even after 8 months, it does not work. And maybe it works in 2 years or maybe 3 years time period. And that definitely requires a lot of that patience. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And then the trust, I actually have something else I'd like to add.
Sure, yeah.
With the students, I am sure that none of you are surprised to hear, like, not every single one of our students is able to graduate. And it's not very common, but every now and then, and I really mean like no more than once or twice a year, we will receive an application. Application will look really good. We'll interview the student, all seems well. We issue the scholarship and we don't hear from them again. We're like, what happened? And we call and recall the money, and it's a bit of a hassle, but we weren't making a direct cash transfers in the emergency relief fund to just anybody. It was our students and the alumni who had remained in good touch, who had who had earned our trust past just staying in school. There was one student who we hadn't heard of, who we had not heard from in years. And we send out a newsletter saying, we're issuing emergency relief grants. Here is the good work our students are doing. And all of a sudden he was blowing up my inbox. I had to set a boundary. That's a large part of my job as well, especially when it comes to the financial relationships across these power, like just across the wealth disparities, especially it takes a lot of saying this, like, up front, this is our line. This is what you can expect. I won't promise more, but I'll follow through on everything up to this point. And I think that that's something, yeah, I think that that's healthy in financial relationships. I think that's healthy in all relationships, is being very intentional with your word and what you're making commitment to, and following through to that point.
Yeah, and showing up on that both front as an organization, but also the community or the group that you're working with is super important. I know Gail and we talk a lot about that as well, because we run classes and we're working with 20, 25 people at once, and at the end of the process we usually end up funding and maybe working with 3 or 4 people from that group, and it's always not only based on maybe the final product that they present or the final grant application they submit, but it's actually the way they show up and actually communicate and build that trust. So it definitely goes both ways. I can definitely agree with that. Thank you so much for that. And I want to be mindful of your time, but also see if there are other questions that maybe has come up that folks have wanted to ask that they didn't get time to. So I see Charles has a hand up. So if you want to go, Charles, and see if we can squeeze one quick question and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. Hello. So first of all, I would like to thank you for the work that you're doing. I really know the impact of having potential and lacking the money to pursue education, because I've dropped out of school one time, and it really just keeps you behind from doing many things that you can do as a person, and just opens you up. So I have a question. How do you manage, because you have these really interesting people all over the world, how do you manage to keep them in touch? Is there an online platform where a way that they can keep, because like however much there is these intentional partnerships of connecting them, doing different things, I feel like there could be other usually unintentional partnerships through connecting different young people pursuing a really good goal and getting that education. I've been part of very many educational services that, let me say, like accelerators of really young people who have really been doing a lot for the social world and helping their communities. But the problem I usually find as a scholar is that it's like a wasteful thing where you meet a lot of these very interesting people at one time, and after about the duration of the program, you totally lose contact and you say, there is a lot that could have happened if we all just kept in touch and just really coordinated. Is there a way you're planning to just keep all these really amazing people connected sustainably over time?
Yeah, alumni engagement is difficult for everybody. It's difficult for Harvard University. It is difficult for the University of Colorado at Boulder. It's something that we admittedly don't do the best job of. That is not exactly where our focus is. Our focus is to educate as many people as we can, and that is where we put our resources. One, because we choose to, and two, because that is what we receive the donations for. We haven't had the best luck with grant institutions like large grantors. Our mission and model, it seems more so to resonate with an individual donor, a private funder, or a smaller family foundation, but not a very large institutional grant making foundation. And that's something that I'm exploring. And that kind of comes back to capacity to run the organization and fundraise and find new ways to sell these other programs and structure all of this. And we're a very small foundation. I'm the only paid staff. And we have a lot of really high performing and committed volunteers and interns and board members. And alumni engagement is certainly on my mind, especially because a large part of our mission is to say that we provide scholarships for students who are paying it forward. And the data that we have on our alumni on what they're doing after they graduate is only for about a third of our alumni, which in the grand scheme of things actually isn't bad, right? Like, that doesn't sound good when you just say it, like, oh, like just a third of our, like, okay, but that's still, if you look relatively, like, schools like Watson are unique in the sense that they stay in such good touch with their alumni. And a third, so, I mean, now you're just asking me a question that kind of is like, you're seeing like mid thought process of an executive director on like how he can frame something that like may not seem too great into like, how is it reasonable? Yeah, what am I trying to say? This is a lot of meaning of what my supervision with my interns is like. They'll ask me a question and I'm like, I'm very glad you asked. Let's figure it out together. So in terms of how our alumni stay in touch, some do over Facebook. We've tried to, well, I think that that's one of the challenges is like, what is a way that it feels organic and comfortable for everybody in relationships and holding relationships? There is no way to manufacture it. There are ways to create the opportunity, and then people stay in touch or they don't. And I think that the one thing that I do know is that many of our students feel a relationship with our foundation. And if they meet another EF scholar, there is this affinity, there is this relationship, and there just is a friendship made. And I think that that's very powerful in itself, in the sense that they have received a scholarship in this foundation, and that's made a huge difference in their life. And if they meet someone else who's had that same experience, there's a bond there's a bond already that exists. And I think that what you're saying is that there are so many times where wonderful people are brought together, and then there's an expectation that they stay in touch. And I guess what I'm saying is that how many people can you expect to stay in touch with on any sort of a regular basis? What is also really important is to create an experience and to provide a service that it impacts people's lives strongly enough that they feel a bond with others, even if they've never met. And I know that our foundation does that. So there's a whole bunch of thoughts.
They're wonderful, wonderful thoughts. And I'm so grateful for your ability to just be so honest, right? Like, maybe I'm not sure about this, we're working on this. And I think the way that you present yourself as both an expert and a learner at the same time is a big reason why you have the trust that you do, and why you have the circle of network and people that you do, and certainly why I admire you so much. I think it's wonderful in this day and age for us to start to dismantle some of the airs of who we are, or want, and try to just be a little bit, open to that. And maybe the way that we communicate now in the future, if it's more digitally, maybe we can start to do that more often, right? Like, okay, my hair is not great today, but I'm still able to talk and brainstorm. That whole idea of how we present ourselves can change. And I just want to thank you so much, Yazan. I could keep talking and listening to you forever. And I think that you've made so many points that we can all take away with us about the power of a micro grant, right? The power of a dollar, right? The value of a small amount and how it can be exponentially beneficial. I think that's a mindset that Little Big Fund is hoping to reframe, that
Yeah.
A little bit can do a lot. And you've really, pointed us in the direction of that for Kapadia, how Kapadia does that. You've helped me to understand the importance, and I think that others, of being niche oriented. Just know what you do it well, and focus on that. I think sometimes emerging change makers want to, they want their entire village to be changed, which is admirable. It's wonderful. And sometimes it has to start small, and you start with your neighbors, and then you go on and on and on. So I'm grateful for that sort of grounded, practical approach that you reminded us of. And you reminded us about trust, and about communication, and about just keeping at it. And then this conversation about engaging alumni is very interesting to us at Little Big Fund as well, because I think the way that people first come together also informs how it is that they stay connected or not. If they come together with this high energy of I'm competing, for a grant, and it's intense for 2 weeks, that energy also sets the stage for whether or not it's sustainable, right? So the way people come together, if it's more, relaxed, or if it's more, grounded in tasks and shared projects, some of that sets the stage, I think, for how people stay together. But I'm rambling. I want to just thank you so much. If it's possible, that if we have any other questions and Camilla wants to reach out to you, we definitely want to make sure that the people who get our newsletter and the blogs and our website know about you and your brilliance. Yeah. And I bet you that we'll come back in months from now and want to hear more about what's going on and to learn from you. So thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the questions, and I like to have these, as like more of a discussion based than.
Yeah. I
don't like to just give a presentation. So I love the questions, that I got from you guys ahead of time, and I just appreciate who all of you are as well. And it's wonderful to see your faces and meet those of you who I have not met before.
Okay. Be well. And I'm just loving everything I'm learning from you. Thank you.
Cool. Well,
bye,
thank you.
Everybody. Bye. We have the 3 C's: Charles, Claudine, Camilla. Bye, 3 C's. Thank you for being here.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.